Hey folks, welcome back to Light Source Engraving. My name is Patrick, your host as usual. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. And today we're just going to be doing a quick tutorial on the lightburn Circle Center Finder tool. This is a tool that will allow you to jog your laser head around an object and find the exact center of that object. It doesn't have to be a circle per se, but an object, as the documentation says, described as a circle. So if we look at a square, those 4 points around the square can be circular, or a hexagon, the 6 points. Draw a line around the 6 points and you have a circle. An equilateral triangle is another one. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that and go over a couple of the highlights of the process and wrap this video up. So it should be short and sweet. So let's just jump into lightburn. So here I have examples of 3 objects, and then I have circles around them. So you can see this is how the objects are described as circular, that the points around them form a circle. So if you have an object similar to these shapes, then you can use the circle finder tool, or the circle center finder tool. That's a mouthful. The circle center finder tool to find the center of your object. And what you're going to do is control your laser head from either the control panel on a Ruida controller or with a diode like I have here. We're going to be using the move tab. So we'll be using this move tab to jog the laser head around. Another thing we'll be doing is changing the distance. So if it was 3 millimeters and we have a 100 millimeter circle, we're going to have to click that button, 33 times to get through that 100 millimeter circle. So if we change it to 10, then we only have to click it 10 times. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to adjust that distance. And speed, I'm just going to leave it the same, but I'll be adjusting the distance. And then once we get close to the edge, then we want to drop that distance back down so we have precision to line it up with the exact edge of our object. And I have these objects cut out, and I'll show you how to find the center of them on the diode. The first thing we have to do is turn it on. The second thing we have to do is home the machine. Now mine is on and it just homed itself, but I'll do it again. All right, so now we are home and we're going to go ahead and fire the laser, and then we're going to use these move tabs. I'm going to change it to 10. Then I'm just going to start jogging it to the to the outside position on this circle. And if you want to have it move continuously without having to click the buttons, you can turn on continuous jog. And I'll show you what that does. You hold the arrow down, and then what that does is allows your laser to continuously move without you having to click the buttons. So that can get you from point to point a little bit quicker. Then when you want to line it up for accuracy, you want to turn that continuous jog off. So now I'm going to set it to 1 millimeter. And what I'm doing is just moving the laser head 1 millimeter at a time, and you can see that I'm just on the side with that beam. So we're going to go back to our center finder tool and start it up. So laser tools, it's over here. It's in the laser tools menu. For some reason it brought it off onto my other screen. All right. So now that we've jogged it to our first point, we're going to go ahead and click set first circle point. And then it's telling you, right here is where our first one is. So you want to spread your points out as much as possible. So move it into this vicinity somewhere, and then the third one will move into the vicinity over here. So let's go ahead and set the second one. I'm going to turn on continuous jog and just move it to the center like that, and then over to the side. And you'll see how over at the edge you really got to turn that down. Turn continuous jog off. It's set at 1 millimeter. And depending on your laser pointer, your red dot, or your diode, you could even try to split the dot in half on the side of your material to try to get it as accurate as possible. So we're going to set that as the second point. And then I'm going to go continuous jog on. I'm going to go over to this side. And now we'll set the third and final point. And then there's our third point. So click set third circle point. Let me bring it back over to lightburn here. And when we click it, it gives us the option to jog to the center and add a guide to the project. So I'm going to add the guide, and I'm going to jog to the center so we can see exactly where this laser head ends up. And there we are, right in the center of the circle that I have down. I'm just holding that down with a magnet so the laser doesn't blow that piece of paper away. Then when we come back to lightburn and you hit the OK button, right here you'll see is our template for that circle. And right there it's showing us where the laser head position is, which is exactly in the center of our circle. Now, if you want to work in absolute coordinates, you can most certainly do that and move your artwork right here to the center. Or you could even set the origin of your work at this point and then use the user origin option. So you have either of those options available to you. Now I'm going to run through the same process and show you that it does work on a triangle. Let's do the triangle next. So I'm going to just delete this because we don't need it. We're going to be using a different object. I don't think the laser's going to move that around too much. The air off the fan doesn't seem too bad. So I put that in a different position, closer to the front of the laser bed. And if you have an object that has points on it, like a hexagon, pentagon, or a triangle, you want to line your laser up with those points. So let's go ahead and jog to our first point. All right, we have the triangle, and I'm just going to jog to the first tip, which will be our first point. I have continuous jog turned off, obviously. And we're close. So there we are at the very tip of that triangle. Now we want to go back and get to the same position on the other two tips. But first, we need to go to Laser Tools, Center Finder, set our first circle point, then we jog, continuous jog. And this one, we're just jogging all the way across. I'm going to turn off continuous jog, leave it set at 1 millimeter, and start moving it until we get it close. There, now we're on the paper. Now we're close. And that needs to go back. 1, 2. All right, and there it is again, just barely off the edge of that piece of paper. We'll set our second circle point in lightburn. So let's click set second point, turn on continuous jog, and just repeat the process. All right, now let's turn off continuous jog and get it lined up. And there we are on the very tip of the triangle. So we are on the tip of that triangle. I'm going to click set third circle point. And now I'm going to click jog to the circle center and then add the circle guide. So now we've jogged to the center and we have our circle guide within lightburn. Now what I'm going to do is do a rubber band frame of that circle guide that it just gave us, so we can make sure that it runs over the 3 tips of that triangle. And it is indeed running over all 3 tips. So lightburn did its job, and it did indeed find the center of a triangle. And then basically you just repeat that same process with any other shapes you have, but that in a nutshell is the center finder tool. Just remember that the more accurate your placement is on the very points or edge of your circle, the more accurate finding the center is going to be. And with diode, you have to use the move tab, and with the DSP, you can use the move tab or the controller, the arrows on the controller. If you end up setting a point incorrectly, you have to hit the reset button, and it'll reset all the points, and you start over from the very beginning. If you set your points too close together, like point, 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 those first 2 points, if you try to set them that close, lightburn could give you an error saying that you're trying to set your points too close together. I think it says not enough space between points. So at that point, what you want to do is move your second point further apart, or your third one further apart. Whichever one you're working on, just make it further away from the previous, and that should fix that error. Another error you could see is unable to query the current position of the laser. If that happens, it means your laser is busy. It could be moving or running another operation. Normally you just have to wait and then requery the position. If you receive an error that says unable to calculate center, that could be because you don't have limit switches, and the current position of the machine, whenever you start calculating your center, could put your center outside of the workspace or cause the shape to go outside of your workspace. If that happens, what's suggested is to move your laser head to the 0, 0 position, turn the machine off and turn it back on, and let it start from the 0 position. Then proceed to run the center finder tool. But I think that is all of the pointers I have for the circle center finder tool. Hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about it, please leave them in the comments. I appreciate you stopping by and watching this video. Thank you to my patrons for allowing me to continue this channel and helping me source materials for testing and making these videos. I do appreciate you guys more than I can possibly state in a YouTube video. But again, that's all for today. Most importantly, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one.